everybody. We are still waiting on Polly, but that is no matter. I have a few updates for you and some life shenanigans to get to before it is that we get into the real meat and potatoes of this here hour that we got going on. First off, you will notice the hat. And we will ignore the hat. Unless someone directly asks me about the hat, in which case then we will address the hat, but otherwise, no cigar. Secondly, I am fucking exhausted. No sound? Bad sound. Here, let me test this. Hey, Polly. We are
Hello?
live, and I have crappy sound. Again. Every single freaking time. Why does it always do the thing where it breaks the sound? Device properties, manage sound devices. 82. Alright, now we're at 100. Hopefully that works better. Anyway. Good afternoon, Polly. How are you this fine 7 p.m. on a Sunday evening?
I've never heard anyone specify a time when they've said that before. Doing
Well,
all right, I guess.
I'm quirky. I am recovering from hangover.
So how'd the costume go over?
Oh, it went really well, actually. I had like pants on the outside of my corset this time instead of tucked underneath it, and so that made all the difference in the world stylistically.
Did it?
I also got a new hat.
You know what's interesting? Oh, excuse me. That swallow there. You know what's interesting about that hat?
Meh.
It could very easily, with minor alterations, work as a perfect The Shadow hat.
The Shadow hat?
Like, you know, the character The Shadow?
Maybe.
Because he doesn't... A lot of people think of it as a Western hat or a cowboy hat, but it's like, no. Stop and look at it. It's not a man's dress hat, and it's not a cowboy hat. I forget the name. It's a very specific type of hat, often worn by undertakers and mortuary workers back in the day. So it looks a lot like that. It's not pinned up on one side, but and it's dented in, but not fashionably, just pushed in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The top part, right? And the back does slope backwards like yours does to have the sort of the rain fall off, and the brim is a little bit oversized compared to every other hat. So like unpinning it and getting rid of the feather, you pretty much have a shadow hat, which is pretty cool. So I kind of want to know where you got it.
I got it at the Renaissance Fair.
Did you really?
I did.
What is
yeah.
it? What is it sold as? Is it a pirate's hat? What is it?
It kind of gives off like French vibes. The feathers.
Yeah, right. You know, one for one and all for one.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like a musketeer, except it was more intended to make me feel more piratey because it's huge and it's got a feather.
It works.
Yeah.
It works as a pirate thing. Absolutely.
And I was in need of a hat, and the other tricorns that they had weren't like. They weren't what I was looking for. This is what I was looking for. The other tricorns that I found, and I can actually show you what I was looking at. They were a little bit more pink. It wasn't fantastic, but it was what it was. Before we continue on, I would just like to thank the BTK for the $5. Oh my god, I'm still in nameless thief mode.
Did you just about say 5 shenanigans?
Yeah, I was gonna say Signas, and I'm like, wait, no, this isn't side quest. I can't call them Signas. They're not Signas here. They're something else. And then I couldn't.
Nor are they
think of a word.
doubloon.
And my default go-to when I don't know a word is shenanigans. So.
You just accused him of counterfeiting or trying to give you fake Bitcoin? What the hell was that?
Thank you, BBTK, for the $5. $5. Okay, I'm sorry, that meme is old. Hi, Weebo. Hope the tent worked perfectly. Why you need an 8-person tent? Well, now you know. Oh, so there's a whole story there. Also, Assassins of the Grey, thank you for coming in and becoming an early access member. So there's a whole
Awesome.
story there. We originally, it was supposed to be me and Kayla and Eve camping out near the
Yep.
fair,
Yep.
and that did not happen for reasons affiliated with their work. And so,
That is what they told you. Yes.
yes.
It-
Wait.
it-
Hold on. Wait a minute. No, but like, okay, so they couldn't make it. They weren't going to make it. Now we have to like reschedule for. Oh, we're gonna get dinner at some point later this week, so that's fine. But I still had a campground that I'd paid like $130 to reserve, and it would have been just me. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of pathetic. So I think I guilt tripped Mr. Adam, Inquisitor, Zelthor. Oh my god.
oh.
Sanguine, Bug.
Damn it, Eve's here. I was gonna run this whole story of why they didn't want to be near you, the things they worry about regarding you. But damn it, she's here, so now I can't do it.
Right.
But,
Well, I guilt tripped everyone that was supposed to do the meetup to, do a camping out thing the night before the fair, and so that ended up happening, except with the plan change, I had to go pick up Zelthor from the airport, and his flight kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed. And so I asked Kayla, because she went and she mailed her camping gear to my address. So I had all this
no, hold on.
stuff.
I like tenting. Let's tenting. I'm okay with that actually.
Okay.
Because it's not wrong. So like,
Right,
why
you
not?
are tenting.
Yeah, because are you in a bunkhouse? Are you in a camp house? No.
No, I was in a
then
tent.
then you're not camping. You're tenting.
Okay.
It's
Anyway,
fine.
she mailed me all the tenting gear, so I was like, can we borrow the 8-person tent? Because for whatever reason, they won't let us hoist multiple tents on one campground. So we have to, like, stay in one, and I don't have an 8-person tent. But Kayla mailed me the 8-person tent. So I have an 8-person tent that's not mine, so I borrowed it from Kayla. Anyway, so, everyone else gets to the campground ahead of time, but Zelthor's flight gets pushed back to 10 p.m. arrival at that point. So I had to stay in town and go to pick him up and then drive to the campground. And it's raining the whole time as we're on our way up there. So the boys are at the campground, and then they go to get dinner, and then they come back to the campground. They're just hanging out in their cars because they don't have a tent to set up, and they can't do shit without the tent. Otherwise, they're stuck in the rain, and it's dark. And finally we get there, and it's kind of drizzling. It's kind of eased up a little bit, but it's still kind of coming down. So we're like, all right, let's get the tent hoisted so that we don't have to worry about doing it in a downpour. And then it starts raining a little bit harder as we are mounting the tent, and it's just, it was a night, a disaster. But it was fun. It was a fun disaster. It all worked out in the end. And Eve, you're lucky, you bitch. You got to miss out on all the rain. Because it did rain a lot.
Is it as raining as badly as it is here now?
I don't know how hard.
It is hardly raining. Yes.
No, the night that we got there, it eased up enough for us to pitch the tent, but then once we went to bed, it was like the sky dam opened up and everything was unleashed onto the tent. We had to close up the tent flappies,
Right.
so that we didn't get the rain in the actual tent, but at one point they were not closed, and we did get some rain, so it was not great. So it was a little wet. And then, it was windy, too. So I'm sleeping up against the tent edge on this side, the tent wall, and I can feel it every single time the gusts goes through. I'm, like, rolling over in my sleep because, yes, we have it staked down into the ground, but it's still, like, moving a little bit. There's still some give. So it was a wild night, weather-wise. Polly.
What?
Polly.
What?
But anyway, I think in the future I will not be so heavy to push the idea of camping on everybody the night before the fair. That was a lot of shenanigans. Yeah. I think I will go for a roach motel next year. I'm gonna increment my upgrades ever so slightly every year before the Ren Fair.
I don't know what that is.
A roach motel?
Yeah. Is that like a multi-person tent? One of them deals?
No, it's a motel. We call it a roach motel because it looks sketchy.
Okay. I'm thinking she can't mean the little box to trap roaches that you buy at Walmart or
no, like
hardware
a Motel
store.
6 or whatever generic motel there is where you pay by the minute or something. And there are questionable sheet choices.
By the minute?
That was how it was referred to me over the weekend. I don't remember who referred to it as such, but we passed a motel that looked like... It looked like tetanus with windows, basically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just get a cabin early next time. Yeah, I should probably do that. Actually, that'll be the upgrade. We'll go from tenting to cabining. But the campground was really nice.
That could be a Netflix horror film. The Cabining.
It sounds like a Netflix horror film, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was fun. I got entirely too drunk yesterday, and the only reason that happened is because I have nuked my tolerance for alcohol. Like, I've sabotaged myself drinking-wise, so I can no longer drink 4 drinks and not get drunk. So, that was fun. And then I got to have some of Sanguine's hangover loaf. Have you heard of the hangover?
Yeah, I actually have heard of Sanguine's hangover loaf on several occasions. He talked about the recipe and whatnot. Yeah, how'd you like it?
Oh, it was delicious. And
yeah?
it was Demp camp rationing hangover loaf, so it wasn't just like light and fluffy like it usually is, or not that it usually is, but it wasn't like it normally was, I guess, according to him. It was camp ration hangover loaf, so everything was very densely packed, so that it would last longer. And what he did was the morning of the fair, we lit a fire and we had some like pork sausages that I brought with, and then he cut me a slice and then he toasted it on the skillet, and it was, oh my god, some of the greatest piece of bread that I have ever eaten in my life.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, it did sound pretty good, no question.
For those in the audience who don't know what hangover loaf is, according to Sanguine, it is just regular like bread dough, but it's got a pound of cheese and a pound of bacon folded into the actual bread itself. And it was heaven.
Yep. That's your fat, your proteins, your carbohydrates, all in a, yeah. It's
right, all wrapped up in one.
Yep.
Yes, Kayla, we will call you the Super VTK. Thank you, dear. We appreciate your tent.
Related to what I was saying before, I didn't want to interrupt your story there, but thank you, Super 21, for the $3. Yes. And the Weebo legs, of course. I learned from Razor Fist it's a slouch hat. Who knows what wine lurks in the cabinets of evildoers? The nameless thief knows.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. What? Who knows what?
Oh, chat. Let's all hang our head in mutual dissatisfaction. The tagline for the Shadow from the days of before comics, like the days of the pulp magazine stories and the radio plays, okay? The line has always been for the Shadow, who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The Shadow knows.
Okay.
So the Summer 21's remake is who knows what wine lurks in the cabinets of evildoers? The nameless thief knows.
That's fair.
See, she laughed. Who said that jokes explained aren't funny?
I appreciated the explanation because I didn't quite get it. I'm sorry. Excuse me for
No,
being at a loss.
no, you don't have to apologize for anything other than your lack of knowledge about the shadow.
Sorry. I will endeavor to educate myself on the shadow.
Imagine Batman, okay, with less gadgets and a strong desire to put 45 caliber holes through people.
Oh! It's like the Punisher. Right?
Not quite as murdery.
But still murdery.
Oh yes, yeah. The Shadow is a little quick to blast, man. He's
okay.
not unnecessarily. Don't get me wrong, but I mean when you look at time for a little comics nerdery. When you look at the Shadow and Batman and whatnot, like Batman is, oh look, it's the Shadow. Think about this, dual identity. His public persona is that of a very wealthy man about town who knows the police commissioner and has ins in the police department and whatnot, holds these giant parties at his house where he largely uses them to make contacts with anybody and everybody. But then he dresses up in this all dark suit, goes out at night and fights crime. He's a top-notch investigator detective. Is this starting to sound familiar at all?
Maybe a little bit, yeah. Just a little bit, though.
Yeah, he's a detective with invisibility. That's a good way of describing it, yeah.
Cool.
He's got the power to cloud the minds of men. Eventually, he gained that power. Not originally did he have it, but nonetheless, it's a great part of his lore. He's not like, Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman from Fantastic Four, where she's actually becoming invisible.
Right.
He clouds the minds of men, so they can't see him, even though he's actually there.
Right. Makes sense. That's a cool power, actually. Getting into people's heads.
Okay, thanks for dropping by.
I see that Darth Mando is in the chat, and Darth Mando, I have from you here. I did open it, so this isn't like the first time that I'm seeing everything, but I will open it here for you now and display for you my genuine excitement at the package that was gifted to me by yourself.
Yeah, Mando's the man.
Yeah.
He just gifted me a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm haven't had a chance to fully appreciate it yet because things that have gone on this week. But I was blown away and happy, to put it mildly.
Yes. So I believe you got Star Trek memorabilia, whereas I got Lord of the Rings stuff, signed Lord of the Rings stuff.
Yeah, and a bunch of Wolverine comics and stuff, and just so happy.
Look at that. Look at that. I'm gonna have to get these frames, like individual frames for each of them, because they need to be on display, obviously.
Well, there's one of the things. I am a huge Trek nerd. Mm-hmm. I do not own a single piece of Mando stuff. Is the first Trek stuff I've ever owned outside of comics and actual like paperback books.
Right.
Like fiction, whatever.
I'm in the same boat with Lord of the Rings stuff. I have the books. I just don't have any memorabilia because I don't spend money on myself like I need to. If it's not a
people have asked me the
I
question.
can't justify it.
Like, you don't have a communicator pin, like just for funsies, and it's like, no, I don't. And it's you don't have Vulcan ears just to put on, or you never gone to a convention and bought yourself a Starfleet uniform or anything? I'm like, no, never. I don't even own a T-shirt, so it's like to get this mini trove of stuff is kind of awesome.
Yeah, this is fantastic, and now I need to preserve it in a special, I don't know, because I have a whole freaking bunch of cards now, and I need to be able to display them properly without them being damaged. So I'm gonna need one of those card books. Like, a boyfriend has got a whole bunch of Pokemon card books that he keeps all his Pokemon cards in. I need something like that. I'm sorry, what?
Boyfriend knows into poker, man.
Yeah, he is. And Yu-Gi-Oh! And a whole bunch of other stuff, too. He's got a whole bunch of Magic the Gathering stuff. Okay, alright.
Hold on. Magic the Gathering and Yu-Gi-Oh?
Yeah.
But he's not a virgin.
Yes. I know. I made sure of that.
You wanted to break the trend, huh? Okay.
That wasn't a
Thank you
problem
for
before
your
we met.
patronage.
Let me tell you. Oh, then I have these cool things too. You can kind of see them.
Look at that. Yeah,
I didn't even...
the book things are awesome. They really are.
Right.
The what would you call them? Slotted clear plastic flippy pages, like you know, the books for
Right.
cards. They're where they're protected and they're
Let's see. Let's see. That'd be the cool one. Oh, and then they're like these little tiny drawings of your favorite character from The Lord of the Rings, like all of them.
Oh,
This
nice.
photo. I've never seen art like this. It's very stylistic. The eyes have a very specific, distinct shape to them. But yes, anyway. I spent a good hour going through all of these and going, oh my god, that's so cool. And now I need to rewatch The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, because I know everyone kind of harps on The Hobbit, but I think they're decent fun. I know they're not what everyone wanted them to be, but
Oh yeah, no, I know, Mando.
I
I was
appreciate that.
happy to see them. Like I said, I haven't been able to sit down and go through them one by one, but I will. Damn it, I will.
Well, I needed to nerd out in private because that's way too embarrassing to do live on stream. So,
Hey, Weebo, there's good news.
Huh.
Assassin of the Grey points out that El Boyfriendo restores his virginity every time he plays Pokerman, Yu-Gi-Oh, or watches Dragon Ball Z. So you get to deflower him over and over and over.
I guess turnabout's fair play then.
It doesn't work like that for women.
No, that's not how that works.
No.
So I don't do something nerdy. I'm not suddenly a virgin all over again. That's unfair.
Well, I guess it's. What are you gonna do? Play a virgin over and over again?
No, I meant like...
Oh my. Well, what am I supposed to do with that?
No, that's not what I meant. I meant... like, okay, so I do something incredibly nerdy that reverts me back to virgin status. And, shenanigans abound. Because that's what Assassin the Great just said. Every time that he plays Pokerman, Yu-Gi-Oh, or watches Dragon Ball Z, back to square one. Does that not also happen for women, or are we just double standarding it now? It
Double
doesn't work.
standarding.
Okay. Pokerman? Yeah, that's what I said, Irene. My bad. Okay, fine. Fine.
Snoopy's like, I'm just listening to virgins talking about comic books and just. Valine is still holding a grudge.
Yeah.
Where she asked me one time, but only about a month ago, in voice chat over in Eve's channel. She's like, Polly, did you ever play WoW? And I said, no, I know what pussy feels like. And she still hasn't let it go. But she's a big World of Warcraft player, so.
El Boyfriendo, actually, we've been discussing playing it together, like as a couple, World of Warcraft. He's never played it, but he'd like to play it with me if we could just carve out time in our lives to play it. Is it less incelly if you play it with your girlfriend?
By definition, it would have to be, yeah.
Right, that's what I thought. But, is it still, in some ways, on that level that you were alluding to with Valine?
I was just, it was more to take the jab at Valine than it was the game, honestly.
Okay. Weebo, no, do a better game. Star Wars The Old Republic, same thing, but Star Wars. I have The Old Republic.
Kyrene is not wrong. If it's with a girl, it's extra awesome. So my local hobby shop, I've
Yeah.
noticed something interesting about it. It's huge, this fucking hobby shop. So they got everything from the board games to historical war gaming to fantasy tabletop gaming, like your Warhammer 40K, Star Trek, Lord of the Rings, et
Yeah.
cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? And I'm there for the historical war gaming because of all the Revolutionary War minis that I paint from a game called Black Powder.
Mm-hmm.
A game called from a system called Black Powder, I should say.
Oh, okay.
But regardless, because I have all the things and it is such a big shop, yeah, man, Quiz refuses to believe that this place exists. He thinks that I'm describing some sort of fantasy land because there's women in there all the time.
Oh, really?
And there's an entire section that's just, okay, the
Wait.
paints and the paints and the brushes and the primers and the milliput and the like all of the stuff related to the DIY aspect of everything that's going on there, right?
Yeah.
Plenty of women over there buying paints and whatnot, and he's like, I don't know. Are you sure they're not trans women? I just have to believe that there's some kind of maleness that was at one point was associated with women being there, and I'm like, well, if they're trans, they're making me question my life decisions. Like, you know.
It does sound like
No, there's women.
quite a nice place.
The women that are there as just a observation, and I don't know why this is, but I find it really interesting. Yeah, there's women in the paint, dealing with the paints and in the 40K section and whatnot. They're there. Not as common as men, not even close, like 5 to 1
Right.
at least. But where the women are at and the couples are at is the one-off sealed in plastic wrap board games. So it'll be like, okay, so like let's say it's Lord of the Rings, you know, for example, right?
Yeah.
You don't need to buy a million other little things or a million other pieces. Everything to play the game is in the box. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those games, yeah, I don't know what it is, but if when you walk in there, that's where the women be at and the couples. And like groups of 2 or 3 women saying, I don't know if I want to play this one. Well, I found this one, and like I said, all one-offs or in a series. You know what I mean? But again,
Yeah.
everything you need to play the game is in the box, where like, you know, the thing that you would unfold for the play space and the little markers for your little avatar pieces and then the rules and everything like that. It's all in there. Any thoughts as a woman as to why that would be? Don't want to get involved in a mega system. They want one-offs, but they buy them again and again and again. It's like I'm figuring, are y'all having game night? And instead of playing like Monopoly or whatever the fuck, you're choosing to roll this way with that requires a higher degree of imagination or whatever. I don't know.
Well, so I guess that depends on. I'm not 100% sure what exactly people do with their Warhammer figurines and such. Other than just like kind of spend time painting them to create them. Like, is there another aspect to having them at the end of the day, like an end goal that you're working towards, or are they just for display, or just to have them?
Wow.
I'm genuinely curious because I don't actually know.
No, that's a solid fucking question. I'll say this: I'm not a Warhammer 40K player, so I can only talk. But you can't do tabletop anything without knowing something about Warhammer because it's like got like a 60 or 70% market share.
Right.
It's a gargantuan. All the videos that I've watched on painting tutorials and stuff like that, they're painting 40K minis. It's just like I said, it's unavoidable. They have it's that big. You know what I mean?
But is it working towards a more collaborative effort? Like, I know El Boyfriendo, he buys figurines for specifically to indulge in like D&D shenanigans, but not like to as a hobbyist. It's just so he has something to place on the board whenever it is that we're going into a dungeon or what have you. So what I'm assuming is going on with the women is they're doing something with the games that is more collaborative because they gravitate towards the more social component, whereas the gentlemen with their figurines, at least up until the point where it becomes more collaborative, it's more of an independent thing. You're kind of just hobbying through it.
I think I was just going to say I can only speak from my own observations, not as a insider when it comes to 40K. The sculpts are so big that some people just want to own the stuff and paint it. Yes. But then the system is organized in such a way, and there's so many after action reports and so on and so forth. A fuck ton of people game. So all the things that you mentioned, yeah, are all different reasons that people have them.
Mm-hmm.
Some people just like buying them because they like giant stompy robots.
Oh yeah.
And so they're, you know what I mean?
And I definitely think women, actually no, you know what? Women do DIY too, but they're more practical in their DIYing. So it's not like, okay, that's a broad generalization. That's not, again, not entirely
No,
true.
go ahead and finish that thought. I'm curious about what you're about to say because it sounds very similar to something Pop Tart said. I want to see if it's the same thing. So finish that thought. Go ahead, generalize.
Okay, so when I DIY, a lot of the time it is to make something that already exists into something that looks prettier that already exists, that we're already using every day. I don't typically DIY to relax. It's more of to get something done. Whereas, I guess in this respect, if you're DIYing a figurine, you're just doing it because it's more of a hobbyist kind of thing. It's something to take a load off, to kind of just chill, relax, lose yourself in the mindlessness of painting the thing, I guess. At least that would be my interpretation of one of the reasons why you would do it without an end goal, if it was just to display it.
It's not too far off from what Pop Tart said.
Yeah.
Actually. Yeah. So I mean that's two different women separately offering the same opinion. So that's kind of interesting. It's like was what I said to her one time when we were just talking is you think women would be, well, a certain section of women would be all about mini painting. Because when I walk into Michael's, I'm the only guy in there. Now, there are other, quote, men in there, but what they're doing is walking around holding their wife's purse. And I'm not trying to slag on them.
Right.
They're literally holding their wife's purse while the women are like going
Right.
through, because they need both hands to look at all the stuff.
Right.
You know, where you're over at Hobby Lobby, same kind of thing. I'm the only guy in there, and I'm buying bits and bobs for projects and whatnot. Like I need like a dowel of a non-specified size. I need a 0.062 inch spring steel rod. Right. You got to go to places. You got to go to hobby shops to find shit like that because it's real particular.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or mini anything that isn't. You want to buy mini trees or mini whatever, you go to where the railroad hobbyists go, and that's hobby shops to get that stuff. Where I live at, there's there's mini train stores, but nowhere near me. So you know what I mean? That's why I'm there. And Pop Tart said that thing. She goes, that's why it's all women at Michael's and Hobby Lobby and whatnot, because they get to build the thing. There isn't the interest for women in painting something that already exists with the proper colors that just doesn't have the same appeal. She goes, you're not thinking about it like a man. You're just thinking about it. You're not thinking of yourself as a man when you think about these things, but you are. You're trying to create the most detailed, realistic, with shading, et cetera, thing possible. That's a very male-oriented, detail-oriented way of looking at it. You want, it's like I've heard you and Quiz talk about it, you want your army to all have the same colors under the same military banner, doing the research into the background of, like, you know, I'm painting a Virginia regiment right now, but you bothered to look into what colors they're actually wearing, what their commanding officers would look like. That's not, generally speaking, a woman's thing. There's we want to build stuff that will be a knick-knack or a whatever. Like
it's more general. It can be widely applicable to the abode, and it can be used like in decoration, or like it has more than one use. It's useful in the home. It's got some form of utility to it beyond just being a nerdy display.
That was her thing, because she went off into this list of things that she's made, and then I'm like, okay, but what about the canvases that you and your daughter buy, because they're both pretty artistically talented, especially your daughter. You know, they go to Michael's to buy, you know, the small little blank canvases and whatnot. You know, but you're painting something out of nowhere, and it doesn't really have a utility. And she's like, Polly, making your home pretty is a utility. Oh. Like,
Actually, yeah, it is.
and now hold on for a sec. What I thought was great about that line, and why it stuck with me, because she said that like 3 years ago, was she had like a valuable insight there about you're not thinking about it like a man. You're not realizing you're thinking about it like a man, but you really are. So let an outsider tell you just how masculine it was what you just said. You know what I mean? Let me explain to you how feminine it was what you just said. A picture hanging on the wall is not a utility, okay? It's not, but I get from the female perspective it is. To prettify something is not making it functional. There's no function to a painting.
So, okay, all right. We're gonna delve into the most sexist conversation that I could possibly think of, and it is male interior decoration versus female interior decoration. Now,
real quick, Virgin Regiment paratrooper, thank you for the $4. Who simply says E.
oh,
The capital letter E.
nice. Okay, alright, let me find a suitable example, but while I'm looking for...
Okay, Zed Hero asked about, while you're looking for that, Zed Hero asked, he said, 40K Knights, yeah, I mean, they do look cool. Who doesn't like stompy robots? But, even, okay, so he asked another question, who's Pop-Tart? Yeah, I think I fall into the habit of naming people as if everybody knows who I'm talking about. When I say quiz, I mean Inquisitor. Who I used to do comic book curation with and still talk to all the time. He's a huge 40K fan. Obviously, you can tell by his name, Inquisitor, right out of 40K lore. And for short, we just call him Quiz. That's what I'm talking about there. Pop-Tart is Lucky Pop-Tart, would be her full name. And she's long time friend of ours from Discord, from Minions of the Zoo, Hammer, myself, Sanguine. Like, how many people can we name that like know her and have talked to her a lot? Zelthor, the list goes on and on and on. Yeah, Pop-Tart is a regular in our circles. She's a fun lady from Texas. She's a very She's a very Texan.
A very Texan.
She is. It's great.
Okay. All right. So I have 3 ready examples to share with you about the meme of men decorating their apartments, to kind of give this conversation a little bit of the legitimacy that I'm attempting to lend it.
Snoopy's like, so you're not talking about the snack food? No, but she is named Pop-Tart because she literally loves the death out of Pop-Tarts. So it does relate.
Why isn't this showing up? Okay, alright. So here we have an image of a gentleman's apartment and the minimalism with which it is decorated. So we have our TV with our TV stand, our one couch, and then nothing else. This is like just one very specific aspect of the male abode.
Weebo.
Yes.
You are not to break into my home and take photographs anymore.
Okay, so then
I'm
on to
disturbed and
here.
concerned how you got through my deadbolt.
Alright, I'm not lending the actual words of the tweet any actual credence because I don't really care about that. But what we are looking at here, this is just one example of a display. The minimalism with which men approach their decoration and their furniture having nonsense. Here's another example. It's just a bed with a light and a desk, and that's it.
I don't see any problems here. This is great. That is it's very Spartan. Everything's functional. There's lots of room. There's room for naked Ava Green to walk in any time she chooses.
And we're just gonna have her on the bed right there.
Looney Lenny, thank you for the $20. No words, but I mean, what can you really say about naked Ava Green? I mean,
right?
Jesus.
Right.
Yeah,
And then probably the most atrocious of examples that I could come
Oh,
up with.
wow.
The barest of minimalism that you can have.
My freshman undergrad years out of this, okay?
Okay, so you see that there is an element of minimalism and bare functionality to the male way of decorating a place. And it's a thing. It's a thing, right? We can appreciate that is something that exists. I'm not like just pulling shit out of my ass. I'm not strawmanning the gentleman in the audience. This is
bonus points for the TV not being out of the box. Damn right, man. That's
But I will say this, right? Don't gentlemen also have like a very high level of depression amongst their ranks as well?
Yeah, but as Sam would say, gentlemen, it is my sad responsibility to inform you that women.
Yes, but hear me out. Okay, so part of the reason for decorating your abode in the way that, you know, makes you happy is that it makes you happy. And that's at least part of the reason why gentlemen will buy these Warhammer 40k sets and paint them and then leave them on displays because it makes them happy. But it's like something that they've built up to, that they've put on display, that it's theirs. It's a point of pride with them, but it's also, it serves the purpose of being decorative in some cases. Because that's what it is. It's something that they're interested in, and they want to put it on display to showcase that, hey, this is the thing. I'm proud of it. I did the thing. And also it's something that I really enjoyed. So, with women, it's less about the pride of having done the thing than it is about making it generally a warm space to come home to for whoever happens to come home to it, right? So, from a woman's perspective, she doesn't just have to think about her own opinions on the matter. If she's living with other people, she's got to encompass the rest of everyone's interests as well, unless it's her own personal space, in which case then it is whatever she wants it to be. But if she invites people into her home, they have to be feeling welcome too. And women are predominantly more likely to entertain guests than menfolk are. Could we say that with, you know, certainty? Like, does that sound accurate?
In the way you said it, yes, I would agree completely.
Mm-hmm.
But in the way you said it, like you described an extremely how can I say it without horribly offending every woman?
I'm trying not to piss off my audience here.
It's okay. Again, the way you said it, yes, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Am I going to call up friends and it's like, yo, bro, you want to come over? It's like, yeah, I'm going to bring so-and-so. Cool. Like, you know, it's getting together and you're just getting together. And it's shooting the shit, drinking the drinks.
Right.
Smoking the tobacco, whatever the case may be, you know, or whatever else it is you're smoking.
Right.
Like that's the idea. The way you said it, have them over you're entertaining, and having them over, and you want them in a warm space, etc. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Men don't do what you just described. Women are more likely to do that. Yes.
Yeah. You are not concerned with making the people feel like they're at home in the space that is your home. More as much as like I would be. Like when I entertain, I go out of my way to make sure the whole place is clean. But not only that, I make sure that we have like snacky snack foods and drinks on hand that, generally speaking, everyone can enjoy, right? And so it's not just like what I like; it's what everyone might enjoy. Have
you ever noticed that it's like friends and support network and language along those lines, my friend group, my social network, etc. Those are the phrases that are described. You don't hear women use words like camaraderie,
I've
brethren,
used that
brotherhood.
before.
What's that?
I've used that before. But not like when people come over. Usually it's,
But I mean, but
you
like,
know.
why are dudes getting together to drink? Well, if you were to lay a psychological description to it, it's for the camaraderie.
Yeah.
It's for the broness of it, and it's like Pat said, we chill out. Yeah, that's it right there. It's just they're coming over to chill,
Hmm.
not talking about work, not thinking about work, not thinking about me nagging that might be happening. You know what I mean?
Right.
And ain't no guy ever looked up at a painting and said, "Oh, I love the way that frame picks up the colors from the couch."
Well, okay, so I'm getting to that because I haven't gotten to that yet. So part of making people feel like they're generally at home in your home, is to give the like ambiance of a home or what generally feels like a home. So what does that mean? Well, you have to have like places to sit, obviously, but then also the walls can't feel like you're living in some sort of 90s dystopian science movie buried under like 40 miles of rock in a basement somewhere. Like, it has to feel homely, and a lot of that is with the aesthetics. Decorations go a long way with bringing up the mood of the room and making the setting feel more homely, which is where the utility of paintings comes in, at least for a woman. It's because there's value for a woman in having the abode feel homely for the guests that are coming over. Whereas for men, not so much.
Yeah, you've seen like when I've turned on my webcam,
Mm-hmm.
uh, you can actually see within the range of the webcam the only things that I have hanging on walls in the entirety of my house. The three things.
Yeah.
Four. Actually, you missed. There's a mirror hanging in one hallway.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Other than that, it's the frame copy of the Declaration of Independence and my degrees. That's it. So does that make my house bereft or minimalist?
Minimalist, I guess, would be the best way to go about that. Because it's not so much bereft, at least based off that description. Maybe if you said something like, oh, and I only have one-seater couch in the corner.
Yeah, why do you keep? Somebody brought that up. Why are you calling a recliner a couch?
Mm.
Is it because you're a tiny little person and you can use it as a
You
couch?
shut your mouth. How dare you disrespect me with such words.
Don't get me wrong. A two-seater love seat, I kind of envy at times the people that can use that as a couch because I need a longer than normal three-seater to be able to lay in something other than the fetal position.
If it is a one-seater, it's not a couch. It is to me, okay?
Somebody had pointed that out. It's like that room actually kind of looks a lot like my room that I have I guess my living room. I don't know if you'd call it that, TV room, whatever. Yeah, there's just a couch and a TV, nothing on the walls. That's it. There's a table, but you got to have something to set your drink down on, and it's beside the couch. It's not in the center of the room. Why would you put a table in the center of the room? It's just something to bang your shin on.
Yeah, that's why we got rid of our coffee table. And then we got end tables for the couches, so on each side of the love seat and on each side of the couch we have a coffee table, basically. They're really tiny little triangular shaped things that can only hold maybe like a picture frame or tissue box, and then underneath you can put like board games. So they're more for storage than they are for decoration, but they still serve a purpose in the decoration categories. Like, they match the couches. It ties the room together.
It ties the room together. See, there it is right there, right? You'll notice that the undertone color is a ocean morning mint, where it did... or whatever. Mm-hmm. Braised sandalwood, whatever color it is you've chosen to tie the room together.
Now, I can say for certain that if El Boyfriendo were just living by himself in this apartment, it would exist without a bed frame, He'd probably be living with his clothes out of his clothes bin.
Hamper, clothes basket.
Yeah, the clothes basket. And maybe a dresser. Babe, if I was not here, what would the furniture situation look like?
I would have a chair, a bed, a desk. It's pretty much it.
Yeah. Oh, what
See?
kind
That's
of
a man's man.
what kind of dishes would you have?
Paper.
See?
Plastic if I'm feeling fancy.
Weebo, remember when I told you that my one friend had all that leftover paper Corningware from the wedding? And I took it all and used it for like 8 months, and it was like the happiest time of my life. I had forks and plates and bowls, and I just got to throw them away. It was awesome.
And, what would the eating situation look like?
There would be eating. And it would be of the cooked variety.
Yeah, who's doing the cooking?
Not me.
Eating up a Hot Pocket don't count as cooking, man.
What kind of foods would you be eating?
Some roast beef, some chicken, some pizza.
No, but seriously.
It's pretty serious to me. But, Taco Bell, McDick's, you know, maybe the most unhealthiest things on the planet.
Oh, okay, yeah. What would what would the shampoo and conditioner situation be?
I would have a bottle that said shampoo and a bottle that said conditioner. Somewhere on it. It doesn't have to be on the front.
Alright, where would you get your clothes from?
The floor.
Okay, so there you go. I was just proving a point. Thank you for proving it.
You're welcome.
He in fact has balls. Like what? We believed you.
Shut up. I was just proving a point about men and how minimalist they are.
Zed Hero brings up an interesting point.
You are correct.
Yes. All right.
He brings up an interesting point. Do bookshelves count as like decorations or furniture?
Babe.
I didn't mention them because I thought they kind of fit in their own category.
Do bookshelves count as decoration, or do they count as furniture? And would you have them?
Decoration because they're displaying something, and yes, to display my gaming consoles.
Okay. So we found one, boys.
Okay, they're for display, but what if the bookshelves are being used for their namesake? You know, books.
Oh, he walked away.
Just grab a beer. Give me 1 second.
Because I don't think anybody would call a library a giant display museum.
It's a.
I mean, all the
facility.
special selections section could be, but
Drive me a drink.
What's that?
It's like an archive thing. If the bookshelves had books on them, would they?
They won't have books on them.
Okay, but hypothetically speaking, if they had books on them, would that be more utilitarian than for display?
The bookshelf
You would still
loophole.
have the
Old man
books
ain't feel
because
it.
You are displaying the books because you're trying to, pass off being smart.
You were trying to pass off being smart.
So it's a gambit.
But it would have some
It's not a display. It's in fact a
necessarily
tactic.
furniture,
I like
but-
it. It's
It's a gambit. That's what you just described. That is a gambit.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you for your input, my dear. It is very valuable.
Somehow I highly doubt that.
Oh
but
no, it is.
you're
It
welcome.
aids our discussion. And proves my point. Thank you for proving me right.
Yeah, well, it's about time you got one, so.
Anyway. I just like the background to make the person look smart. Is that what you guys think of me? Do you think this is all just for show?
Yes.
Shut up.
No, well, kind of, yeah. It's just
Read it.
You watched me display it to you. Oh my god. It was our memory scrapbook.
That doesn't count.
Is it on the bookshelf?
It's not.
Anyway.
Where's the fuck is the Nerf gun?
Okay, because there's
Right.
a lot, I have a hell of a lot of bookshelves. I
Mhm.
actually need to do another culling and thin
A
some
thinning.
books. A thinning, yeah. I mean, reading from right to left because I can look up. It's right behind me.
Yeah.
This is what goes on a bookshelf, Weebo. Okay,
Mhm.
books. This is John Adams, The Whiskey Rebellion, Guide to the Battles of the American Revolution, The Thomas Paine Collection, The Ideological Origins of the American Revolution, Faces of Revolution, American Scripture, From Resistance to Revolution, A Leap in the Dark, The Struggle to Create the American Republic, The Glorious Cause, The Radicalism of the American Revolution, Empire of Liberty, The Long Retreat, The Battle for Control of New Jersey, The Day Is Ours, which is about the crossing of the Delaware, the battles of Trenton and Princeton, Washington's Crossing, the American Revolution, it's simply called, The Winter Soldiers. You get the idea. About halfway down one.
Mhm.
You know, that's my American Revolution shelves.
Yeah.
And I've read them.
I have not. I cannot say the same about every book on that shelf. Some of them are in the waits for me to finish other books that I have.
Are they
also
in
not finished.
queue, or is it part of Boyfriendo's Gambit style?
No, they're in queue,
Okay, cool.
and they're all my books. All of them are mine. They are in queue though. I'm incredibly slow nowadays. I used to. Shish.
What?
You're laughing at me.
Yes, I am.
I am not as book hungry as I used to be in like middle school. I used to power through books like one every other day without that's not even just like a hype that is not hyperbole. That is fact. Now I can't get through a book in a month. And that's just because I can't concentrate on a book cover to cover anymore for whatever reason. But the other aspect I think that contributes to that issue is just that I am too busy. So if I just stop, then I just stop. And I can't bring myself to pick it up until I have time to actually really reinvest myself in the book. Old age is slowing me down. It is. It really is.
You know, voracious readers, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've been to college, out of necessity, you have to pour through material, right?
Yeah.
So you find the time because, well, there's no choices. It's an imperative. You do it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You can't not do the thing.
Right. Then there's people that are just voracious readers. My mom is one of them. She has a shit. What does Amazon call their reading device? It slipped my mind.
Kindle?
Kindle. Thank you. Fuck. She's got one of the Kindle devices. She goes through 3 or 4 books in a week.
Go her.
Yeah.
Wait, does she
like,
have a day job?
No, my parents are retired. They had me pretty in life.
Well, good for them, but also there's why.
Yeah. Oh, both my mom and my dad have a hell of a lot of hobbies. My dad retired and he upped his golf game and his marksmanship pretty fucking quick. Yeah. But I mean, it just amazes me the speed that she goes. That's why she got a Kindle. Like, my mom is not a tech oriented person until one of her friends said, like, showed her Kindle. And my mom's like, I gotta get one of these, because she would buy a fuck ton of books and then go give them to the book charity place. Like, there's a whole number of them, you know what I mean, that operate for charity, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where you give them away. The goodwill of books, that sort of jazz.
Indeed.
It was just like the amount of sheer paper pulp that she was going. Holy fuck!
You okay? Did America scare you?
I'm a little high strung naturally, Weebo. Holy shit! I'm turning you down.
I didn't catch this one initially. Thank you, Esther, for 21 for $3. So, how does this guy send stuff to Polly? I wanted to send Polly a movie and ended up getting Weebo, the Blues Brothers, instead. Polly, if I'm feeling generous again, how do I send you something?
You have my address?
What?
You have my address?
Do I? I don't.
Why not? I thought you did.
No, I've been asking you for it for like weeks now, and you're like, just send it to Sinatra. And I'm like, but Sinatra's gonna eat all your Girl Scout cookies.
He better not eat my Thin Mints, that fucker.
So I've been hesitant because I'm like...
Because he would. He will.
Exactly.
He gets weird British things in the mail. If he got actual good snacks, he'd be...
Right?
Speaking of weird things, like weird snacks, okay, I have become extremely curious about something that... So they're... totally gay friends for each other, Drunkle and Sinatra. And they, I was about to say, like,
Yes.
hetero life friends or whatever, but I decided, they're gay. Anyway, the idea was, I'm going to send you a bunch of things that are classic Americana that you don't have available there, and then you're going to send me a bunch of British stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there was a fruit pastels, pasties, whatever. They're super delicious.
They are good.
Yeah, I bought them because there's a British store.
Yeah.
That's here. So like all the Cadbury stuff that you can't buy at 7-Eleven, you know what I mean? All the different chocolate candy bars and different stuff. They've got it all there, and it's pricey because they had to import it particularly. You know what I mean? But it's cool. So many different marmalades. Weebo. They have a wall of marmalade.
I tried it. I don't like it.
Yeah, it was just...
It was disgusting.
There was
Full offense to Aussies.
There was one thing he sent him called Branson Pickle.
Yeah.
And it's become a thing of legend. So it's a relish spread for sandwiches and whatnot. It's got the consistency of a relish, like, you know, chopped up, but still got some chunkers in it. And apparently it is the most beloved thing in the United Kingdom, that it sells like a motherfucker. And the idea of having a sandwich without some Branson pickle on it is just ridiculous. Sinatra opened it, smelled it, and threw it away. He said it smelled so spoiled and offensive that he couldn't bring himself to even try it.
Well, did it, like... It shipped over from the UK, right? So I'm assuming did it need to be refrigerated and it just wasn't, and so...
No, he said not. He said that it's like it's got preservatives in it and it's sold on dry goods shelves, like it's there with the relishes.
All right. Well, yeah, then at least I had the stomach to try Marmalade.
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 I'm actually curious about the Branson pickle, because somebody tried to say, oh, probably fermented on them, but apparently it's got a fuck ton of vinegar in it. Like, I don't know. Oh, like
anything.
Like Worcestershire sauce. Like, you know, it's automatically preserved by virtue of the amount of salt and vinegar in it. Yeah. Tabasco sauce, there's the best example. It's like a fuck ton of vinegar. It's not going to spoil. But if you smelled a non-sweet relish or or Tabasco sauce, all you're going to get is a strong, acidic, vinegary smell off of it.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it's horrible or fermented or has gone bad or whatever. It just smells like that because of that. So I'm wondering if Sinatra didn't jump the gun by tossing it.
Maybe.
The least I would have done is pop a piece of toast on the toaster and tried it as a spread. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. From Hikara, who donated $20 to say, men are minimalist by nature. Outside of my dress clothes, I have 10 pairs of the same style cargo shorts in 3 colors and t-shirts. I just grab shit out of a clean pile in the morning. I only eat 4 different meals. Also, bookshelves are furniture. That's gonna be like the new debate topic. Instead of is cereal soup, it's are bookshelves furniture. Because I feel like people have interesting opinions on this. But yeah, men are minimalist by nature. Like, I will live and die on that hill. I have not seen anything that says otherwise.
According to Ian, it must be with cheddar, Branston. Must be. And it's like, you only need to refrigerate it after opening. He also said, yeah, okay, lots of stuff like that. You know,
I
once
would try
exposed
it.
to oxygen, it'll. Yeah, I would definitely try it. I would have absolutely tried it.
Mm-hmm.
And it, someone just brought up cheddar. It
As
reminded me
you
when I
should.
was in that job interview. And it's like, what do you want out of life? You know, it's one of those questions that people they ask you in interviews that not only does it not have a correct answer, it's almost impossible to answer in such a way that it's going to help you procure the job. Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? That's the worst one. Because you want to say, serving this company as best I can. Like, you know what I mean? Like, every answer sounds like a fucking lie. You know,
Right.
or because honestly, for a lot of jobs, it will be hopefully the fuck out of here, and if I don't, I'll consider it a personal life failure. Like, yeah, that.
Indeed.
So job interview. That's me. What do you want out of life? And I looked contemplative and pensive for a moment, and then said, "A sharper cheddar."
Right. Oh.
And they laughed, like not like huge rib tickling guffaw or anything, but she laughed, and I thought, win. Moving on. Next question.
This is a fantastic answer.
Because I love a really sharp, good cheddar. Love it.
Okay, so on that same note, Sanguine discovered that they actually have, up in Door County, apparently there's like, they sell cheese, and they sell blue cheddar. Like blue cheese cheddar,
Interesting.
I think. Because it definitely didn't look blue when I pulled it out of the cooler this morning, but it said blue cheddar on the thing.
Okay.
And
Did
then
it taste blue?
I didn't get a chance to taste it, so we're gonna have to ask Sanguine when he tries it when he gets home, because I think he's home now, but he had to drive home today too. So, but that's something that he had, and we're gonna have to like interrogate him about this, whether or not it is true. Yes, Wisconsin, Door County. Kind of jealous the boys got to go camping up there. Nothing. I was just talking to the stream. Because that probably would have been a better camping experience than getting rained the fuck out.
Snoopy makes it's an interesting point. It shows the mental state of the person being interviewed with that question to see if they're able to think quickly.
A sharper cheddar.
I don't know if I would give. Maybe the person who first concocted that question, I would agree. That was the intention behind it. But I'm not willing to credit the HR people that I've met in my life with being that clever. I think they're reading off of a script. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're all very... The questions that you ask in an interview are all very prepared.
Yeah.
Like, I've been asked what questions to ask of a person being interviewed for a job on occasion, and I go, they're probably not looking for questions from, like, an HR perspective, but more from a technical perspective, because that's why I'm being solicited for this. And usually it has something to do with their previous experience in the field. But I can imagine that an HR professional would ask HRE questions. Generic HR questions. Do you think they source them from the same website?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't like them personally, no, but I think if it's a big enough company, I think HR, they all go to the human resource management seminars and whatnot, and you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where they end up getting the ideas and the sources for stuff and questions along those lines. Wow, Darth Mando, he asked me to check my DMs a while back, and I forgot to do that, and so I just pulled them up. I am impressed, sir. Like, the display of all the nerdy things. And then he wrote, surprisingly, I'm married. he's got so many stormtrooper helmets, and they're all in like their own individual little lit display cases, all glass enclosures and whatnot. Fuck. Now I just feel lazy.
Yeah, well, up your game. You gotta put everything on display.
But you know what I'm proudest of? Over in hold on. My sinuses are threatening a sneeze.
Gesundheit.
Excuse
That
me.
sounded violent.
In my house, I have the Lodatorium. Pretty
Yeah.
proud of that. There's a giant drafting table with a drafting lamp attached to it, and then plus the overhead lights, and then just the general lights are in the room because you need a lot of light when you're doing the stuff that I'm doing in there, which is also where my gun cabinets are and the fireproof, extra thick 3-drawer filing cabinet that I use for powders and handguns and whatnot. It's a locking cabinet. There's a suggestion for you gun people out there, where it's like all I have is handguns or smaller stuff, and what do I store it in? How about a fireproof filing cabinet? It'll be cheaper than it's locking, it's fireproof, and it'll be cheaper than a full-on gun cabinet that holds the same that has the same internal volume. Somebody hinted that at me, and I was like, oh, hell yeah. I bought it when they were doing them. Yeah. They were closing down and demolishing a building on campus, so they were selling off all the stuff in it, and that's where I bought that filing cabinet from. Fuck, that was a bear to get it here.
I bet.
I mean, it's heavy on its own. Imagine when it's full of lead.
No one can.
But it's cool because you can have one drawer for your, and they're nice drawers too. They're not sliding on friction. They're rollers that are on ball bearings, so the drawers open and close real smooth, even though everything that's in there is heavy as fuck.
That's good.
So, it's got the powders and the unloaded projectiles on one level, and on the next level is all the accoutrement associated with reloading. So like all the ammunition goes in there. So it's like stacked right up to the brim, and then the top is where all the handguns go, because my gun cabinet is full of long guns.
So it's fireproof, but is it like
Well, you know
wrecking ball
what?
proof?
I was about to say, well, no. And it's fire resistant. The only reason it's fire resistant is that it's got it's double walled. You know what I mean? And then inside of that wall is some kind of fire retardant material. And so, yeah, if left in the middle of a burning thermite fire, no, it's not going to be fireproof. But if you have a fire in the house, the idea is that the gunpowder and the primers won't start going off.
Right, accidentally, just because by nature of the heat in the building.
Yeah.
Don't want that. Could make things a whole lot worse.
The ammo is worth more than the guns in the cabinet nowadays. That's why I reloaded before, because I just enjoyed reloading. The technical aspect of it, it's bringing the hobby home. You get to do something like that, and you get to tailor make rounds to be particularly accurate out of your specific rifle. I just found it very, very interesting. And yeah, broke grad student at the time when I started reloading, where it's like, I can reload for a third the cost of buying factory. Now I can actually have ammunition at a, I don't have to sell kidneys and whatnot to get it.
It's a rough market out there for if you don't have the ability to reload, kids.
Yeah. Well, even then, because now you got to find primer and powders that everybody went out and bought everything up. They went full prepper.
I bet there are people out there that have been making their own gunpowder nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean, the recipe's out there. It's not like it's
Well,
hidden.
old school black powder, yeah. Modern smokeless propellant, yeah. Good luck. That's an industrial process. Multiple layers of cellulose, double-based powders, extruded ball powders, blah blah
But
blah.
I bet if you knew the right people and were discreet enough, you could get the recipe very easily.
Yeah.
If you had a chemist friend, they could tell you how to synthesize the greatest of gunpowders based off what they know about chemistry. Because it is a chemical process, making gunpowder. And it's just like baking, I would assume. Baking in that a little bit more of this, a little bit less of this, a little bit more of this, a little bit less of this will achieve the desired outcome.
I think it's a thing that if you had some knowledge of chemistry and knew the process, that it would not seem terribly difficult. But starting from scratch, one of those things, sharp learning curve, etc.
Oh yeah. Careful, Weebo, the ATF is probably listening. What are they gonna do? I'm just hypothetically speaking. Kaboom goes Weebo by that recipe. Well, you'd have to do it carefully, obviously, but I think it could be done if you had enough precautions taken. It's entirely within the realm of possibility. If it can be synthesized once, it can be replicated. Same thing is the case with programming. If it can be achieved one way, it can be replicated. You can reverse engineer anything that already exists.
Captain Kirk made black powder on a fucking planet he had never been to before. What is the recipe again? It's saltpeter, potassium nitrate, sulfur, and charcoal, I believe. And then he found diamonds, shoved all of it into a log, reinforced the log with some rope, and then kaboom! Blasted the Zorn.
Ooh.
Gorn. Excuse me, Gorn.
Nice. Blew away the Gorn with a diamond. Weebo,
with a diamond shotgun. And why? Because he's Kirk, goddammit. That's why. He's just that good.
Mythbusters proved that Captain Kirk's gunpowder would not work. But they
you know what? I watched that episode and I got mad as hell. You know why? You know why I got mad as hell?
Why did you get mad as hell?
Because those pedantic fuckers fucked up all over the fucking place. They're like, there's no way that even if he had made the gunpowder, that the simple hollow log that he found would have been able to contain the explosion. I'm like, okay, first of all, fucker, he was on an alien planet, and that wood was as strong as metal. How do I know that? Because Kirk didn't blow his arms off. That's why.
You should do a Mythbusters episode. Just for funsies. If it pisses you off that much, you should, respond.
Call the episode Busting the Bastards.
Yep, there you go.
How dare you talk about Captain Kirk that way? And it's like, you saw him wrap up the chamber end, if you will, of the log, where the pressure would be the highest. And that was... some writers or prop masters on the show must have known that. It can't just be a log. Yeah, because the twine, the natural rope that he found on the planet, it's an alien planet, was stronger than braided steel. How do we know this? Again, because he's not Captain Stumpy. He has both his arms. He's Captain Kirk. So obviously that's the case. It's called science fiction, people. Fuck. Mythbusters. Yeah, fun busters.
You should bust their myth with your own episode of Mythbusters. Busting the Mythbusters. My English today is not great.
Spock said it would work. Enough said. Exactly.
Right. If Spock says it, then it must be true.
And they need to be measured in particular proportions, the various constituent elements. And Kirk just kind of laid them out on a rock and just kind of with one hand just shoved some off to the side and measured it out. There's no way he would be able to get measurements that exact. Excuse me? James Tiberius Kirk? Yes, he would. Yes, he would. Just because you're not awesome doesn't mean he's not.
Right. So Polly, we are at 1 hour and 20 minutes, and I am fading quite fast due to my hangover. I'm not quite recovered as I should be. Do you mind if we end a little bit early this evening?
Sure. Were you thinking in 10 minutes or immediately?
Immediately. Because I need to go night-night.
You need to go night-night. Okay, fair enough.
I took a nap. I accidentally passed out on the bed right before I was supposed to take a shower, and then 2 hours later, I'm like, oh, shit. So I took a quick shower, and then an hour later, here we are. So I'm, disoriented as fuck.
No, that's not a problem. We can certainly do that.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to end the episode on what sounds like a downer, but it'll end up being not so by the time I'm done. So hear me out. Hear me
Okay.
out.
All right. All right.
Last week, Wednesday, uh, a longtime, very good friend of mine passed away. It was his mom who called me the next day, Thursday, to tell me. I'd lived there for 2 months when, some places you live when you're in college can just, you live in some shady places, Weebo. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Like, even dorms, like they can really be shady towards the students. It's like, oh, we're kicking you all out because we need to, like, I don't know, update our fire suppression system or our smoke detectors or whatever. And it's like, where am I supposed to live? I don't know. Figure it the fuck out. Like, yeah, it's you're in college. Figure it out.
Right.
Like,
You're an adult now.
Yeah. And you end up staying in some places where you can get booted. And one of the, that's what happened where I was at. And you know how it is. You got to pay first month's rent, last month's rent, and a security deposit. You know the deal, right? It could be rough. And I was broke as fuck because undergrad. The place I was living at, the basement suite, it was just off campus, so it was extremely convenient. Said, so we've decided to remodel the basement, so, goodbye. And I was like, like next month? And they said, no, at the end of the month. And I'm like, that's 2.5 weeks from now.
That's fucked.
Yeah. And it's like, so your last month's rent, she goes, don't worry, your last month's rent and your security deposit will be returned to you when you leave and after the inspection. It's like, of course, after the inspection, they're completely remodeling it. What does it matter if I put my fist through the wall? I didn't, but you see my point.
Right.
Yeah. So in other words, I was homeless. There was the problem because I didn't have the money for first and last month's rent plus security deposit. I just didn't have the money for that.
Yeah.
So I was fucking homeless. He's my friend. I remember I was telling him about this and he's like, what, you're staying here?
Oh.
And I said, well, that's a really generous offer. He goes, it wasn't an offer. That's just how he was.
Right.
A really, really good friend. And I thought about it, and it was just over 10 years that I've known him. And I only spoke to him a week ago. I don't think there was more than a couple of months where we hadn't talked. It's rough, and it hit rough. Especially talking to his mom and hearing all the things that she was saying, and to be getting a call from someone's mother about that was bad. They're thinking aneurysm, but they're not going to know until the medical examiner is done. That's why I was such a wet blanket on AAA on Friday and didn't do a noir bar this weekend. I just didn't feel the funny. And the sleep has been fucked up, and I had to try my best to get together the money I have to go there, Florida. I can't not be there for the funeral. At least that's the way I feel about it. And I didn't know where I was going to get the money for that. All of a sudden on AAA on Friday, all these donations start pouring in because the audience is awesome. They were extremely generous. So, and then in chat, it's, I'm getting, I'm sorry to hear about your friend, getting all these DMs. People are awesome. The, offerings of support and condolences that I've gotten of, people say like, oh, that means a lot. No, I mean it. It means a lot. It's, thank you. It's going to be rough going down there. I don't think any parent should have to bury their own child, and this is going to be rough to watch, but it's also one of the reasons I want to go there, because when I went to stay at his house, he was still living at his mom's place, 29 years old. That's way too young. Way too young. So when I went and stayed there for a couple of months during that time, it was like, yeah, I know his family very well. I know his mom very well. That's why she was the one who called. In any case, that's one of the reasons that I want to be there for that. In any case, even people after the stream was over sent money because like a last minute plane ticket, you know how much that costs?
Oh, it's not cheap. I know.
Yeah. And I guess I was doing some like thinking from 1987 or something was the last time they offered a bereavement discount through airlines. Like that's just apparently not a real thing anymore. What's that?
That was a thing.
Yeah, right. And I guess TV and movies have lied to me because I guess it's a thing, but it was not really anymore. I guess you can manage it, but only under very particular circumstances. And so you gotta have a death certificate. I'm not asking people for death certificates. That's brutal. So the exact day of his funeral hasn't been set yet because the medical examiner has to finish first, and then off to the funeral home and what. Fuck, it's hard talking about your friend going to a funeral. Jesus.
I'm sorry, Polly. I know that can be very difficult to lose someone that young.
But the point being, the reason I brought it up was not to depress everyone, but to explain my own absence and depressive state, and how sort of speechless I am with the generosity that people have put forward. Like after the show, people are listening to it.
Thank you for your patronage.
Still getting the echoes. Even so, a lot of people don't listen to the shows live; they listen to them after the fact.
Yeah.
So, only now, when I'm opening my Streamlabs since Friday, have I seen all the donations that have come in since then, and weird statements weird like this. I'm sorry, all I have is $5, but I hope this helps. And it's like, man, just the offer, just any like words of encouragement are above and beyond in my mind. Like people shouldn't feel that way ever, in my opinion. But then the one that really blew my mind, Bubba Hotep, was a long time viewers, followed all the stuff that I've done, AAA, Noir Bar. He was one of the first people watching comic book curation. Great guy. For fuck's sake, he hit me with this.
Holy shit.
He's a member of the Golden Otter Club. He got the Golden Otter Pokerman card.
Oh. What a dude.
Yeah, Bubba Hotep has reached legend status beyond question. I'm sincerely appreciative. I don't know what to say. Thank you very much, man. I mean, thank you very, very much. Now, as expensive as an airline ticket is it's now the cost of that has now been covered. It's again, I don't have the words.
Just wait for my fucking tag.
E to the dubs is Polydub.
Bitch, let me have it. I'm this savage. Why do you keep screaming?
Maybe it's a habit. An assassin of the gray in there with the $25. You know why.
Indeed. I think the next 6 minutes sent me this donation accidentally. I think it was intended for you because it's with the typical 242 that he usually sends you. But he says, my sincerest... Wait, is it playing again? I think I accidentally activated it. Anyway, he says, my sincerest condolences, my friend. All the best, bro. Hugs. I can manage, man. I have lost a few good friends over the years. It always hits you hard. Much love, man. And hit me up anytime you need to talk about things. So, there's that for you. I will send it over in the next couple of minutes when I hop off the stream and have a moment to actually do that.
Fair enough. Assassin of the Grey was insulted that it was Dragon Ball Z. Fix that! I was like, okay. Well, it's kind of Dragon Ball Z.
I gotta say, just through what you're currently experiencing and from what I initially experienced at the beginning of the year, the audience is the best, is it not?
Oh, man. I see some of the extremely cancerous audiences that some people have. Like, it's not just like one or two malcontents that are, I don't know, they're doing the shit posting thing, right? You know what I mean? And like every audience has people that are joking around and doing shit posting, and then there'll be a couple of stragglers who are just angry people at the world or whatever. But like the audience that we have that show up over at Noir Bars, show up at AAA, like, fucking best damn audience online, man. I mean, absolutely.
couldn't ask for a better community of people, in my opinion.
Definitely not. I mean, they're showing up to listen to us talk. That's a divinely patient group of people.
They enjoy our camaraderie, Polly.
You used the word.
I did use the word.
You
Throwback
minimized
to
your screen, so you paused the stream. I can't see what
did
you're
I?
doing.
I'm sorry. Here, let me say it again with the face so that you can see
Oh, there we
exactly
go.
the face that I was making. Camaraderie. I don't think that's
Is that the way you said it?
No.
Okay,
think
Jesus.
so.
I was about to say, I take it back. That was pure smart assery.
No, it wasn't supposed to be smart. It wasn't supposed to come off as smartassery. It was supposed to be like a throwback line, you know, like there
Callback
she
humor.
goes. Right, exactly. But on that more jovial of notes, so you don't know what the funeral is quite
No, it's very likely going to be next week,
next week.
possibly over the weekend.
Okay.
I'm imagining, because they're still trying to plan the date. Like, and it takes a while to set those things up. Stuff is set up at the funeral home for reception. They call it the receiving of the remains.
Yeah.
But then the actual funeral, like, you know, you just can't have it out of nowhere. You gotta
Right.
set up the day and whatnot. And he was an organ donor, so that part of it has to happen as well.
Right, so that'll take a while. So we'll say we'll play cocktail hour by ear. If you can't make it, that's totally fine. But if you wanted, like, to have a sit and a talk
Thank you
and
for
hang
your
out
patronage.
just to feel, you know,
Fair enough.
cooler about it. It's up to you, Polly. Whatever you want to do.
All right, I will certainly keep you abreast.
All right. In the meantime, chat, have a good rest of your week. And Polly, have a somewhat better, decent rest of your week now that that's off your shoulders.
Well, I mean, see, there's the thing. I didn't mention it because, Ian just said that he has his uncle's funeral on Wednesday. Condolences, man. A bunch of people. I thought I was alone for doing this. I guess not, or not common for doing this. It's just like, I can't sit and brood, man. It's just so filling my time with the things. Yeah. And like, what's that? Whatever. I dusted. For fuck's sake, Weebo, I dusted.
You dusted?
Yeah. Well, listening to an audiobook just to occupy my hands and time and whatever. The night that I found out is when we watched Divergent.
Yep.
Yeah. I didn't really want to talk about it. I didn't really have anything to say. And what could be more distracting than two horrible YA movies back to back?
Right?
Did you notice that I wasn't willing to let you to go to bed? I was like, no, don't go to bed. Stay up, watch movies. Because that was kind of why. Is like, it was
makes sense.
Watching movies with friends is a really good thing as compared to sitting and mulling. You know.
And I'm glad that when I left, there was still Eve and Zelthor there to hang out.
Yeah, no, and we hung out for a while. I was like, Weebo's a child.
Yeah, actually.
New York Reload.
I love that she just throws the gun.
Yeah, that's the best part. It's just,
like,
well, that one's empty.
All right,
Yeah.
bye.
Akira, thank you for the $21. Love you, Polly. Thank you. Love you too, man. Excuse me. Oh shit, you watched Divergent?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
And Insurgent?
Yeah, Divergent, and then the Divergent series, Insurgent. And we still have to watch part 3. We're dedicated, or committed.
We are committed now, but luckily they stopped making movies after Allegiant, I think, so we're good.
I have to say, just as like a one-sentence description, I was honestly surprised that it was as young adult YA as it was. I did not think it was going to be that.
Young adult YA, dystopian society.
Well, I don't know. I'm not trying to insult anybody who liked it, although that's probably unlikely that someone liked it.
Right.
But it was just so simple, like simple-minded. Like, all of the problems were avoided. Everybody was called by one name and one name alone because we don't want to confuse people. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's like they thought their audience were 13-year-olds, but not just 13-year-olds, dumb ones. Like, it felt very condescending to their actual intended audience.
Polly, this was required reading for the general level English students in my school at sophomore level.
Wow. I know you said that before, you said that during, and I still can't wrap my head around it.
This was before I got placed in AP English classes. So, like, I was at the general level, and then they're like, you're too advanced for this. We're going to pop you over to the AP. But, yeah, this was the general reading for everybody that year. For the summer. Like, you had to read that book over the summer and then come to school having read it and able to talk about it. I'm not.
You know what my biggest problem with that movie was? The two movies we saw was?
What?
The fact she cut her hair in the second film.
I explained that to you.
No, I know. She did a film where she was a cancer patient. I understand.
Yeah.
It's called a wig. If they could CGI Henry Cavill's lip, surely they could put a wig on this woman.
It didn't look good, though. That's the thing. And also, okay, I don't think any wig could adequately mimic the thickness of Shailene Woodley's hair in the first movie. Because, by gosh diddly, was that shit, like, the best thing about that movie is Shailene Woodley's hair.
You should have heard these two, even Weebo, during that film. Like, they just kept, and I don't blame them. Like, it was thick, luxurious hair. There's no question. Well, and cute girl, I'd go. No, she's cute enough to fall into the category of hot, I'd say. And she's got this gorgeous mane of hair. Mm-hmm. And then in the next film, she looks like a lesbian.
Yep.
And if anything, the acting got worse in the second film.
I actually, you know what? I have to inquire as to whether or not she actually, like, in the books, did Triss cut her hair? Did Triss cut her hair?
Oh, I'll say this. The prop guns that they used in the second movie were far better than them 1950s ray gun blasters kids toy that they had in the first film. Mm-hmm. The guns looked so ridiculous in the first movie. In the second one, they were like largely modified Chris Vector guns.
Yeah.
But they looked good. They looked futuristic because Chris Vectors look futuristic. And yeah, in the first movie, it looked like they had kids' toys. It was really bad.
Yeah. It's apparently in the book, Triss does cut her hair so that it goes down to her jawline. So it would have been down here. So she would have looked more like a Karen than she would have looked like a lesbian.
You know, short hair can be attractive. She went like, oh, I was about to say pixie cut. That wasn't a pixie cut. Because what's her name? Winona Ryder rocked the pixie cut too. Very sexy effect.
Yes. Wow, they only show her in Allegiant. No, Insurgent, I'm sorry. Let's see, Insurgent. There. That's what her hair looks like in the second movie. Also, this was like the stupidest scene.
It's real small. What scene is it?
Oh, it's the one where she's doing the test for candor.
Oh yeah, that was not her finest acting moment ever, where she was feeling the pain from the drug because she wasn't being completely honest. Yeah, that wasn't good.
But also, I've said this, and I will repeat it here for the audience.
Thank you, Snoopy. She looks lesbian. Thank you. Yeah, what were you saying, Weebo?
A dystopian YA, like, protagonist should not have the squeaky valley girl voice that Shailene Woodley had in this entire film. It just...
True.
It was not great. She had the squeaky voice.
So the entire time that Far, Weebo, myself were watching the Twilight films,
Yeah.
there was a lot of discussion where See, now that's an interesting idea that wasn't explored or amplified or expanded upon, and anything was done with it. Immediately, they went back to the love triangle and the interpersonal stuff.
Right.
So there was, like, looking at Twilight, yeah, I know, it's hard to believe, but there's salvageable material in there. There's some halfway workable lore, if you know what I mean. Watching this, I'm like, maybe this could be fixed, but I wouldn't want to be the one who had to try.
So she goes from this hair to this hair to this hair, and I gotta say, I think this is the cutest style, and this is more probably accurate to the actual book series. As
Yeah,
opposed to
actually, she
this.
looks fine there.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, we got to watch. See, I'm a red-blooded male, so I'm watching these movies, and I'm like, okay. Attractive woman in the lead role. All right, I'm here. You know what I mean? But yeah, no kidding. Why in dystopian future Chicago do you have a Valley Girl accent? It's a good question.
Right. Anyway. How goes my book? I've written 24,000 words, and I'm on track to reach my 130k word goal by next June. So, it's going well. I have the forcing myself to write at least 600 words every day has really helped me to, like, and it doesn't even have to be decent writing. It's shit writing, but it's something, and it's me getting all my ideas on paper, and it doesn't matter what order they're in, so long as, like, they stay true to previously established lore that I've already written. It's good. I have something to work off of. It is a skeleton of the actual lore, so it is going very well, and I am coming up with some really, really good plot points. So writing it in the end, when everything is already plotted out, will be super easy for me. So yeah, it goes well.
Good.
Mhm.
I didn't know that. Good.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
didn't know you were in. All right. You got to go to bed.
I need to go to bed before we go off on another tangent. Because I would love to continue, but I really do have to go to work, and I am so tired. Anyways. So yeah, we will play it by ear for next week. In the meantime, audience, enjoy your time. And we'll see you when we see you next. Later.
Have a good night, everyone. Thank you for the donations. Very generous. Ex-Bubba Hotep, you rock.
Oh, shit, I forgot. Thank you, the Nexus Minutes, for the donation. I'm glad you had an amazing weekend, Weebo. I hope I can put together as much as a rocking meetup this spring. Still working out the logistics. You and Polly are amazing people, and I am blessed to be your friend. Thanks for being amazing. Grove Street for life. And then I also think he sent you a donation.
Yeah, the next 6 minutes. Thank you for the $. Sorry, I sent your dono to Weebo. That's fine. She's storing Thin Mints for me. That's the
I am.
storage fee.
Mhm.
I want my mints, man.
Give me your address, man.
All right. I thought you had it. Been a long day. Let her know. She has an actual dono.
I just went and I saw it. I just-
Thanks, Six. I appreciate it.
All right. I'm going to bed now. Good night, everybody.
All right. Have a good night, all.
Later. And over.